There was once a time when I considered the raptor to be one of the most formidable predators in Evrima. Agile, fast, a deadly bleeder, and often running in large packs. These guys would drain stegos, wipe out carnos, and slaughter tenantos. They were something to be feared when you heard their calls in the distance. These days, oh boy. I think the last time I played Raptor was in September. Maybe a tiny bit in October. But either way, it has been literal months. In theory, Raptor is honestly incredibly dangerous still. But in practice, let's just say that these days they leave something to be desired. A lot of some things, actually. Acronym and I decided that it was time to get back on our Raptor duo. It had been a while and I was feeling quite nostalgic for those good old days. Plus, with Maya in the game now, we wanted to hunt those. My start hadn't been the greatest, having gotten swamped several times and dying to Trudons the others. By the time I finally got an okay spawn and met up with Acro, he was significantly larger already. That was okay though. There was a full Maya carcass that I was pretty sure had been killed by the other one in the area in order to feed its fresh spawn Dilo buddy. So it would be all uphill from here. Then again, each time the Dilo got hungry, the Maya would chase us off the food again. But that was fine. We'd already taken the most important nutrients for ourselves. And eventually, Acro got the opportunity to kill their pet Dilo as well. With things looking up and the carcass spoiling, we decided it was time to move on. Note to self: don't chase frogs on hills. We could hear chaos brewing on the southern end of South Plains, so we made our way in that direction. Where there's chaos, there's usually food, after all. Our hunch was correct. A dead dryo containing eggs would give us a bit more nutrition to keep our high growth rate. Though the opportunity to eat didn't last long. 3 dibbles came racing over the hill, pursued by Mayas. Yikes. We got out of the way and hid, observing the fight, watching for opportunities to strike. After all, our main purpose for growing raptors was to test out how it felt to fight Mayas, and these ones had been weakened by fighting dibbles. Sure, I was already hurt and not fully grown yet, but what could possibly go wrong? We saw an opportunity when one ran away from the fight to sit down in a bush. We guessed it was either low on HP or blood. Either way, if we could keep it bleeding, it would eventually die. It's all fun and games, though, until the other 4 come charging in to protect the one we're targeting. With Acro on the verge of being run down with low stamina, I raced in to distract them away. And made the fatal mistake of accidentally sliding to a momentary stop when I turned my camera. Rather than making Acro sit through my regrowth, I set off, doing so alone the next day. A little Carno hanging out in the passage to escape the rainstorm outside was the perfect target, and the perfect size to make a nice meal as well as give me some great nutrition. By the time we could log back in together, I was fully grown and ready for action. That action, however, came in the form of 3 growing Ceratos. We decided to target the largest one, ideally, but keeping the younger ones out of the way would be important. And my pounce didn't deploy. Cool. The big guy turned out to be incredibly laggy as well, and we fled. Simply wasn't worth it. After healing up and scavenging for a bit, we found our perfect target. A solo Maya. Mostly out in the open, even. We stalked it for a short time, waiting for the best possible moment to attack. Well. So anyway, I backed off, and Acro kept the hunt rolling while I went to sulk in a bush. As I did, the Ceratos from earlier rolled up on our hunt, forcing Acro to back off too, and taking over. Ugh. So we sat on the hillside and watched, hoping the Maya would kill them so we could then get back to the fight we'd originally started. Eventually, 2 of the 3 Ceratos were dead, and the Maya went after the last one. We took some food while it was distracted, preparing ourselves to get back on the horse, so to speak, now that the interrupting Ceratos were gone. Aha! This time I finally landed a successful pounce. Thank goodness. Or, well, I was excited until my dismount decided to be buggy and simply placed me gently right inside the Maya's stomp hitbox. And then, of course, immediately after we both pounced it, more stinking Ceratos showed up. Because of course they did. Back to simply watching. By the time all was said and done, 9 Ceratos in total had stepped in on our hunt. That poor Maya. But oh, they weren't done either. As we attempted to scavenge from the dead Ceratos around the area, they decided to come after us too. I lured one away, Acro following behind. He intended to pounce it, and while it was separated from the other 5, we'd kill this one. It was technically a good plan. At the time, a double pounce would have pinned it. But before the opportunity could come, another Maya arrived. Luckily for us, it was out for Serato blood. When the Serato went down, it gave us a friendly call and went on its way, preparing to target the rest of the corpse bullies. At least now we had food. The next time we logged in, it was day, and we were getting hungry after spending the time healing from our previous failed hunt. A Herrera proved to be an easy enough target, and would have been an okay meal too, if the Maya hadn't decided to attack us. I guess he wanted a fight. But, we had wanted to hunt a solo Maya anyway, and this one had gifted itself to us so kindly. It didn't take long before he ran to the mud to try and better control the situation. That was fine though. We could still pounce him quite effectively from the edges of the mud pit. He wasn't fully choosing to camp either. As soon as he saw Acro step away to eat, he came rushing out in an attempt to catch him off guard. As the Maya returned to the mud, Dilo showed up. We tried to decide the best course of action. We could pin the Dilo together, but if we did, the Maya could run out and stomp all three of us to death. We could fight it without pouncing, but a single bite could mean hallucinations showing up to kill us. We opted to back off for a moment to eat. As we did so, the Serato arrived. Can we not simply hunt something without mix packers trying to help? Not wanting to mix pack, we turned our attention to the new problem. How to kill the Dilo and the Serato without their buddies stepping in, or the Maya taking advantage of our vulnerability should we pin them. Our circling and movement seemed to alert them to something being off. Our initial thought was to target the Dilo, as it was more dangerous than the Serato since it was faster. But each time we attempted to get on either side of it for a grapple, it moved away, closer to the Serato. Finally, the moment arrived. The Maya left the mud pit to chase the Dilo, and then continued running. The Dilo kept on it, leaving the Serato behind, alone. Acro got on its back, tearing him apart while I attempted to get in position for a double pounce. I finally did, at the exact moment it died. The Dilo was calling in the distance. Maybe we could still catch up and kill it before it finished off the Maya we had wanted to hunt. I got there in time to see that the Maya was down and the Dilo was sitting. We went for the double pounce. And for no reason at all, my perfect side contact pounce decided to register as a kick instead. Because of course it did. And my next proper pounce that registered also broke. Because of course it did. And my third attempt to pounce went great until I got stuck T-posing on a tree. Because of course I did. So anyway, he laughed once before Acro finished him off, and I did my best to avoid the clone that was still chasing me. I somehow managed to actually escape it. Mixpackers down. And then so was I, because latent clones exist. I regrew using the corpses that were left behind from our little skirmish. As they spoiled, we went to the river for water, and spotted yet another solo Maya. Though I wasn't large enough now to really do much, Acro wanted to see how well he could fight it. And he was actually doing quite a good job. I hopped in only once to intervene after he got knocked over into the water, just as a distraction to attempt to slow the Maya's reaction slightly. The fight was going nicely, until the Maya's pet Serato showed up. I swear, the mix packing lately has been absolutely out of control. And don't tell me to go play on unofficials if I don't like mix packing. There simply is not a good NA unofficial that's survival based. All the big ones are either free grow deathmatch servers or EU based, where I get horrendous ping. Anyway, rant over. The Maya held back and left well enough alone for a minute, but when it realized the Serato was losing, rushed forward to protect it. As an adult raptor, Acro was technically slower than the Maya, so I went for a rend pounce to try and stop it from running him down. As it got close to the cliffs, I dismounted. And nothing happened. Until a few seconds later, when the Maya started to fall, and suddenly I was poofed back to where I had originally hit the dismount button. I don't know about you, but these buggy pounces are really getting on my nerves. We decided to try again. I finished growing once more, and we logged back in. This time we figured we'd try to get far away from south. Maybe we'd find less mix packing elsewhere. The plan was to go northeast, but we passed through Delta on the way there. As we went, a Maya appeared in our path. It was alone. Finally. Maybe this would finally be the time. Another raptor arrived to help. At least it was our same species for once. Things started out well, actually. Acro put in some rend, and I went for a damage pounce to attempt to put a bit of fear into it. The Maya immediately placed its back against a rock. Understandable. With their turn nerfs, Maya is much more vulnerable against small targets than before. And honestly, Acro thrives in fighting in tight spaces, so even with it camping, he was able to put more damage on it. And then things took a bad turn. He got knocked down and the Maya was quick to stomp. I put more bleed on it. This was already a monumental task as raptors, but losing my companion was not going to make it any easier. There was still the other raptor, at least. Never mind. But I could hear another calling in the distance. Might as well see if they could be any help at all. They died quickly. Low stamina, low food, all alone. No. This is stupid. Honestly, Raptor is just so incredibly buggy and underwhelming these days. No. I'm done. We're switching to Dilo. So anyway, we had a pair of Dilos we each grew separately for just this occasion. We had said if we decided that Raptor was not it, that we'd switch over and give Dilo a go instead. As soon as we met up, we made our way toward Highland Lake. It was morning though, so whatever Mayas we found, we decided we would simply track until nightfall, try to catch them right at dusk when they were virtually blind. And so the hunt began. The full day, we crept through the bushes, following a herd of about 5 of them as they moved around. We watched their habits and movements, learning over time that they were fairly unorganized, often separating by large distances, not drinking at the same time, and generally leaving themselves vulnerable to attack. Even still, we opted to wait for nightfall, when our venom was the strongest. We had done well keeping out of sight most of the day, but as it reached the late afternoon, we slipped up and were spotted. At night, we could outrun them, but during the day, I was much too slow. After taking a heavy stomp, Acro rushed to my aid, distracting them so I could escape. He had photosynthetic tissue, and could outrun them where I could not. Having both escaped, I made my way back in his direction. Night was coming. We were now injured, but we would have the advantage in the darkness. As dusk fell, we raced to catch up to them. They must have gone for water, and with the darkness, one of them laid down. Aha! The perfect time to attack. With 2 envenomated fully and the 3rd attempting to rush to their aid, we began our full assault. We had waited all day for this. They may have had the advantage during the day, but now it was our time. The entire herd was freaking out and attacking blindly. Oh yes, this is what it means to be a Dilo. This is what it is like to use your special ability and not be aggressively punished for doing so as you are on Raptor. first went down. Followed quickly by the second. But the final one attempted to flee. No. After our failures on Raptor, we weren't letting him escape that easily. He ran up a hill and the clones stopped hitting him. He was injured though. Even if the clones couldn't finish him off, I was prepared to do so. I just had to be careful. To be knocked over on a slope like this would be to simply fall to my death. We opted to wait for dawn, when his vision would once again drop to near total blindness. In the meantime, we could wait him out, as we had all the food we could eat and plenty of water down the hill. After waiting for what felt like ages, I checked the time. 3 a.m. He was blind again. Now was my moment. He attacked first, and that allowed me to get beside him. Yes. In his panic, or perhaps completely out of stamina, he couldn't seem to remember his button to kick. When he tried to run, we both fell, and he met the menu screen. Oh, Dilo, my beloved, how I've missed your horrific power. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts below. If you're new around here, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Have a happy new year, and I'll see you soon.